I don't know, guys. I don't know. Tough, tough loss, man. Tough loss. Yeah, I'm just gonna talk real quick. Just give a little post game thoughts, man. Wasn't a pretty game at all. The Cowboys lose to the Green Bay Packers by 10 points, 34 to 24. It looked like the Cowboys might actually try to do something and try to come back, but they just too many times this team shot themselves in the foot. Too many times did they make those stupid little mistakes that blew the game for them because the Cowboys had no problem moving the ball. I mean, it seemed like all game long they were on Green Bay's side of the field. You know, Dak. I'm looking up the box score right now. Dak Prescott, 27 of 44, 463 yards, two touchdowns, but the three interceptions. Now, I know a couple went off some receivers' hands, but it's just as an offense on whole, no matter who you out there want to blame, hey, the Cowboys' offense just didn't play a clean game. Just wasn't disciplined. You know, a lot of penalties. I think the tackles struggled in this game without Tyron Smith. I think that was a struggle. For me, this game, if you're a Packers fan, I think it's all about Aaron Jones, man. It's all about Aaron Jones. Michael Thompson in here, like always, can't win the big game. That is two straight playoff atmospheres where the Cowboys failed to win the game, you know, and there was a lot of talk about the Cowboys playing the Redskins, playing the Giants and the lowly Dolphins and being 3-0. But you play two playoff caliber teams and you don't show up. You cannot win the big game. So that is going to be the narrative going forward. It's going to be the narrative for these Cowboys until they turn it around. I believe they got the Jets next, so they can't even turn it around with the win against the Jets. So it's going to have to be, what, week 7 when they go to Philadelphia till they can turn that whole narrative of beating a good team, winning a big game this season for the 2019 Cowboys. For me, man, if you're a Packers fan, Aaron Jones is the MVP here. Aaron Jones went wild, ran wild on the Cowboys. That run defense for the Cowboys was pathetic. Pathetic. I mean, I haven't seen it this bad in a while. And the Cowboys' run defense has been a little iffy for a while, if you know what I mean. I think the Cowboys' D line misses Antoine Woods more than they'd like to admit. I mean, he's the only real big boy run stuffing kind of D tackle the Cowboys have. And I know you always hear about Rod Marinelli really likes the D tackles that can rush upfield, but you need somebody that can stop the run, especially when more and more, the more games we're seeing, that's looking like the Achilles heel for the Dallas Cowboys. Jalen Smith and LVE had a terrible first half. I said it. If you follow me on Twitter, at SayWhatchaFeel on Twitter, I was calling out Jalen Smith and LVE, man. I mean, they were out of position constantly. Constantly out of position. I mean, overrunning the gaps, just plain, I don't even know what to say. They were just running their own selves out of position. Often, way too often, they were on the floor. It seems like the O-line for the Green Bay Packers was able to get to that second level and get their hands all over LVE, all over Jalen Smith. They just weren't affecting the game like we saw them do last season in 2018. I don't want to hear the Tank Lawrence hate. So if you're watching this and you're a Cowboys fan and you're talking about Tank, take a closer look because for a few plays there, I had my eyes on nobody else but number 90. Number 90 is double teamed on almost every play I watched. Almost every play, he is a complete double team, and they are not trying to be coy about it. I mean, two offensive linemen are attacking this dude. So, to me, that's on the other lineman. Quinn had a big game last game, so there's no reason to get mad. The scheme was working. We didn't get so much pressure, even though we had a. You know what? The pressure comes in spurts. That's the way I see it. But don't blame this thing on Tank. Don't blame it on Tank. Um, the Packers just played a great, great defensive game plan. Mike Pettin called a great game. Mike Pettin, hats, salute, man. he dialed up some great blitzes on third down. On third down, some stuff that the Cowboys just weren't expecting, and got the Cowboys off the field. Shout out to Chris Jensen. Yeah, you know what? Our D line didn't look good at all. It didn't look good at all. And like I said, I'm trying not to blame Tank because I do see the attention that Tank is drawing. When you look, it's two men attacking him, but nobody else is doing anything, and they're for the most part one-on-one. So there's no excuse there. I really think this D line misses Antoine Woods more than, like I said, they'd like to admit. But I also want to give props to the Packers. So if there's any Packers fans out there, man, you guys played a great game, especially on defense. Aaron Jones, man, I mean, played lights out. The Cowboys' run defense, like I said, that's the Achilles heel for this Dallas Cowboys team. Um, it was really lucky that or I should say very fortunate that the Green Bay team was able to get up to such a huge lead on the Cowboys because it really, really masked their Achilles heel, which is the same thing the Cowboys suffer from, run defense. Zeke, hey, he was running for some big plays out there, but we couldn't continue to feed Zeke when we're looking 21-0 in the face. You're not. You're down 21 points. You sort of have to give up on the running game. That's just the way the game goes, guys. It's just unfortunate for the Dallas Cowboys. But again, it just pisses me off because once again, we lose a big game against a NFC playoff contender, and you just can't have it. And I know Cowboys fans all around are going to find their favorite whipping boys, whether you're not a Garrett fan or you're not a Dak fan or whoever, and blame that person. But to me, there's a lot of blame to go around on this one. Dak didn't look sharp, though. Dak didn't look sharp at all. And I'm not trying to be a hater. I'm really not trying to be a hater. But Dak didn't look good. Now, I know a couple of those hit. One hit Cooper in the hands. I think another one hit Randall Cobb in the hands. And yeah, you can't really help that. But there are some iffy throws where it probably should have been another interception. I just think he needs to read the field a bit. Again, Kellen Moore's opened up the offense to him, and he's played really well. But I just think in a big game like this, maybe reel it back just a little bit, because I want to see the big plays, but also you just can't just fling it out there. You don't want to see Dak Prescott throwing 45 plus yards, 45 plus passing attempts per game. That's just not the recipe for success in Dallas, no matter how much we would like it to be. This team's not a passing team. We run off the play action. We have to establish the run. I just love how early in the season we established that run, and we were not shy with the big plays from play action with Dak. He wasn't shy at all. The offense moved the ball. They were just sloppy. Again, last week when they lost to the Saints, I thought that the difference was coaching. I think Sean Payton just outcoached Kellen Moore, outcoached Jason Garrett. Of course, execution, X's and O's, only matter so much. Execution on the field matters the most, but I think that was that extra edge that the Saints had last week. I don't see that here in this game. I think this was player execution. I think the game plan was fine. I think the Cowboys did what they came out and wanted to do. They were running the ball, but again, they fell behind too fast. If anything, that run defense just got to get cleaned up. That's the only way I see it. The tackles suffered a little bit on offense. That's to be expected with Tyron Smith being out. Cam Fleming, he's decent as a backup, but he's not going to hold up all game long, and he didn't. And then when La'el Collins went down, Dak was getting pressure off the edges. If you notice, Dak was having to step up or run straight up out of the pocket a lot towards the end of the game. And you know what? He handled that as well as one could hope for. That's what I got to say. He handled that as well as you could hope for. Yeah, Michael Thompson, I'm with you. Definitely not all on Dak, but the whole team was awful this game. I'm with it too. At 3-2, I'm not giving up either. 9-7, right now. The Cowboys look 9-7 right now, honestly. especially because this schedule is getting tougher. We got the Jets next, so I'd imagine that we'd be 4-2, and that's not too bad after 6 games. That's great. Um, but then you got the Philadelphia Eagles, and that's going to be a big game. Week 7 is, without a shadow of a doubt, a bigger game than even these last 2 games. You win the Eagles game, and you go to 5-2, and you're in first place in the NFC East, we can start building that confidence back up again. That's the way I see it going down, man. The Packers, though, I want to give a little. I know this is like a Cowboys thing, but the Packers played a great game. Zadarius Smith, poor guy, seemed to get hurt every other play. He was constantly down, but he was getting them sacks, man. Pressure off the edges. The Smith guys, Preston Smith, Zadarius Smith, constant pressure on these tackles, constant pressure coming off the edges towards Dak Prescott. Good game. Like I said, Pettin called a good game. They got a nice young defense over there in Green Bay. They're getting better and better, and they took it to us, especially in the first half of the game. So, again, I'm not giving up on the Cowboys. I was pretty pissed off in the first half. If you follow me on Twitter, I was pretty pissed off. Just didn't like what I saw at all. But, again, I'm not giving up on the season. I still think the Cowboys are a playoff team. I'll probably talk about it a little bit more when I do the Red and Blue Rivalry podcast with Eric. 49ers play on Monday against the Cleveland Browns. I think I got the Cleveland Browns in this game. I got the Cleveland Browns for Monday night, but we'll see. I kind of hope Cleveland kicks their ass, because if not, he's going to be talking a lot of crap, with the 49ers being 4-0 and the Cowboys taking L's against NFC playoff caliber teams. But we'll see. We'll definitely talk a little bit more about this on the podcast this week. And like I said, guys, the Cowboys' number one objective should be cleaning up the run defense. Aaron Jones. Let me look up Aaron Jones's stats in the box score real quick. Aaron Jones, man, 19 carries, 107 yards, 5.6 average yards per carry. You can't have that, man. That puts your team at such a disadvantage when you're the other team's starting running back. Those are the numbers. 4 touchdowns? Aaron Rodgers didn't even have to throw a touchdown. Aaron Rodgers was game manager, man. 22 of 34, took care of the ball. No touchdowns, no interceptions, took a couple sacks. But Aaron Jones, man, on the ground, he did his thing, 100 yards on the ground. But then, look at this. Aaron Jones, 7 receptions for 75 yards. 10.7 yards average per catch. He had a long of 22. He was targeted 8 times, 7 receptions. Aaron Jones, man, tore up the Cowboys, man. I don't know what. Kamara tore up the Cowboys. Aaron Jones is tearing up the Cowboys. Michael Thompson, that's the best question that I think all Cowboys fans should be asking themselves, because I'm not even sure about that right now. We look like a playoff team, but we don't look like we'd be the favorite against any other playoff team in the NFC, unless maybe you count the 49ers. We're going to see if they're real tomorrow. Mr. Button's embarrassing. I'm with you, man. Embarrassing. Real embarrassing. Especially the way they came out. They didn't come out looking sharp, and that's what really pissed me off a lot. But like I said, the way that they handled or didn't handle Aaron Jones is the most embarrassing. What? Damn near 200 yards total rushing and receiving. 4 touchdowns, man. Aaron Jones. We're not talking about Alvin Kamara. We're not talking about Todd Gurley. We're not talking about that. We're talking about Aaron Jones, man. Just shredded the Cowboys defense. And I think the D-line just is not getting bodies on some of these offensive linemen. I think they're getting pushed around. I think the linebackers are getting swallowed up by blocks way too often. Dak Prescott's play, I talked about it a little bit. It wasn't sharp at all. Not far from his best game. And I think it's just it's bad news when you see Dak throwing for over 40 attempts in the game. That's not the Cowboys' formula for winning. So it's not all on Dak. A couple of those balls hit Cooper in the hands, hit Cobb in the hands, but Dak made some questionable throws. There was another couple of throws that I saw out there that should have been interceptions where Dak just didn't read the defense quickly enough or correctly in the end. And there were a few throws where Dak had plenty of time. That last interception, one of the last interceptions during like the Cowboys kind of sort of comeback, he had plenty of space, plenty of room in the pocket, plenty of time to read, and threw it right to the defense. So no, I'm not happy with Dak Prescott's play, and no, he's not looking like a $40 million quarterback or a $37 million quarterback. But again, this isn't about money. I'm sure he'll get his money. He may come down a little bit down to earth, which might be good long term for the Cowboys. But hey, I'm all about winning, man. Mr. Buns, I hope that's not the case. That Dak's just throwing the ball, trying to prove he's worth the money, because he's gonna end up screwing himself that way. Because as you can see, look, I'm gonna look up Dak's box score real quick here. Dak's box score: 44 attempts, but 3 interceptions. He's not taking care of the ball, and you're not getting the win, because if Dak Prescott's throwing 44 times a game, and I don't care if Dak throws for 463 yards, that's not good if Dak's throwing for 463 yards, because that means we've abandoned the run. That means the play action, where we get the big plays in the passing game, they're not developing for us. Right, he needs to throw less than 30, definitely. Jay Clemus, shout out, fire Jason Garrett. Hey, if he don't turn this ship around right now, he's going bye-bye this season. Don't you worry about that. A lot of people are saying that it's the NFC Championship game or bust. Dak is trash. Let's see. Dak is trash. Yeah, Dak played like trash today. I wouldn't go so far as to say Dak is trash, though, guys. But, not yet. When I've seen a lot more trash quarterbacks play earlier in the day. I mean, that Bears quarterback, boy, I know they're backups, but it was terrible. Terrible play. I mean, lost the game for them at the end. Dak's not that bad, guys. He just Dak needs to be reeled in a little bit in Kellen Moore's offense. I love the confidence Dak has of just letting it rip. But, he shouldn't be trying to put the game on his back like he did in this game. That's the problem I have with that. But, yeah, I don't think Dak's taking $18 million, man. Mr. Button says Dak should accept $18 million. Nobody's accepting $18 million, man. That's backup quarterback money in 2019 in the NFL, man. That's the way I see it. Yeah, but they got dominated at home. No Cowboys fan should be happy about this, guys. I'm reading how you're feeling, man. Keep talking. I mean, because I don't blame you guys for being pissed off. I mean, it was a trash performance up until the fourth quarter, where they looked like they were starting to get it together. But again, even then, too many mistakes. Dak misreading the defense. Dak throwing the interception at the end. Aaron Jones getting first down after first down during the comeback. Even if they cleaned it up a little bit more in the fourth quarter, the Cowboys at least tie this game when it goes into overtime. At least. So, yeah. Ill Eagle Alien says Dak isn't going through his reads. He's focused on the middle of the field. He missed Jason Witten wide open in the end zone. I saw that too. I almost can't believe he didn't see that, because it was like right in front of him, right? If that's the same play we're thinking about. Yeah, that Witten, missing Witten, not reading that, surprised me. Yeah, that wasn't a good look. I'm sure Dax, when he watches this game, when he goes through the film, he's going to wish that, he's going to wonder how he missed that, is what I got to say. But yeah, man, maybe I need to start wearing some more jerseys that with current players, man. I got 31, Roy Williams. Van Der Esch whiffed all day. I'm with you. Leighton Vander Esch and Jalen Smith in the first half, especially, like I said, overrunning their gaps, just running themselves out of position. And like I said, I think this is more responsibility falls on the D-line than the linebackers, but they were getting blocked way too much. And if your offensive linemen are getting to the second level on the linebackers. I mean, that's not fair. Linebackers shouldn't have to take on guards and tackles, every other play, but that's what it was looking like earlier in the game for the Cowboys. But yeah, they didn't look good at all. Jalen Smith, hey, maybe it wasn't as great of a deal as we all thought, but there's plenty of time for that. The guy's there's plenty of games left in this season, let alone in Jalen Smith's career. I think he's a good dude. I think he's going to turn it around. I think he's a great linebacker, but he hasn't looked good at all this season. If you notice, he's been taken out of the game quite a few times. I saw on the Saints he was missing in action for a while. So, yeah, linebackers definitely got to step it up. Like I said earlier, though, guys, and I'm probably repeating myself too much, but does anybody out there, if you're in the chat, anybody out there, are any of you guys like anti-Tank? Are you guys saying Tank has disappeared after, signing his big contract in the offseason? Because that's something that I don't see. So you guys out there, if you think Tank's not earning it, convince me. Because, I see the poor guy taking double teams almost every single play, man. Almost every single play. Yeah. Games going on all around the NFL, guys. Philadelphia Eagles, win their game against the Jets 31-6. Minnesota beats the Giants, at least as far as NFC East goes. New Orleans 31-24 over Tampa Bay. They're looking good. Teddy Bridgewater looked good. Oakland, shocks me. Beats Chicago and London. Buffalo looks like they're real. Buffalo Bills Mafia looks for real. Arizona over Cincy. I got to update the Cowboys score. But Denver gets the first win of the season over the Los Angeles Chargers in my backyard. Looking forward to Indy at KC. I'm a big Mahomes guy. And I hope the Cleveland Browns kick the crap out of the San Francisco 49ers on Monday Night Football. So my partner doesn't have too much bragging rights over me. I don't want to see the San Francisco. Who wants to see the San Francisco 49ers be better than the Dallas Cowboys? That's just not good for the NFL, right? It's not good for Cowboys Nation. Yeah. Oh, man, you started Aaron Jones. Mr. Buttons started Aaron Jones in his fantasy. I mean, hey, shout out to your fantasy team because I know Aaron Jones put up hella points, 4 touchdowns, over 100 yards, and 75 yards receiving. Big time. I mean, Aaron Jones just tore the Cowboys up, and all Jason Garrett can do is clap for him, man. I mean, that's it. I don't know, man. Zeke looked like he was playing well. Even Pollard was looking like he was running the ball well. But, they had to abandon the run game when you fall behind that bad. I mean, I'm going to look at some more stats real quick here. Scoring plays. Look, the Packers had the Cowboys down 14-0 in the first quarter, 17-0 in the first half. You fall behind 17 points. Hey, and you're in the third quarter. There's not much you're going to do. It's a little bit late to establish the run, if you know what I mean. But yeah, guys. So guys, do me a favor, sub it up. Try to check out the Red and Blue Rivalry podcast where we cover the Dallas Cowboys and the San Francisco 49ers. I'll probably be rewatching the game, giving some additional thoughts there, and just talking about the state of the NFC East and how that Eagles game in Week 7 is starting to just loom over the Cowboys season in 2019 because I think that's going to be the biggest game of the season. Like I said earlier, I expect that Eagles game to mean even more than this Saints game and this last Green Bay game. Jay Clemens, we may need a coaching change. But like I said, I think maybe we don't owe it to Garrett, but I guess the best thing to do right now is let Garrett ride it out and see what he could do. Garrett started we were 3-5 through the first 8 games of the season, and he turned it around, got us into the playoffs in the divisional round. I know I didn't see that coming at that point. So, hey, give the guy a little bit of a chance. But if no playoffs, no extension, and even if he wins a divisional game, I would say Garrett's got to go. I mean, I as a Cowboy fan am tired of the divisional round being acceptable. I need to see an NFC Championship game. I need to see a Super Bowl appearance. I need to see a Super Bowl win. Garrett's had more than enough time to at least get to the NFC Championship game. Norman Edwards says the Cowboys just can't cut it. Not against playoff teams. You're right about that. Not against playoff teams. They're not cutting it. They're just not cutting it. Well, I can't argue with you, man. I'd like to say, I hope the Cowboys beat the Eagles in Week 7. That's the biggest game of the season to me. I'm very much looking forward to that game right now. I'm not going to totally overlook the Jets, but they look like a dumpster fire right now. So, that game's going to be big, guys. Yeah, look, I'm looking up some more stats real quick before I get up on out of here. Like I said, Aaron Rodgers played a safe game, managed the game well. Cowboys, I mean, if you had Amari Cooper on your fantasy, at least you're happy there. Amari, 11 receptions, 226 yards, an average of 20.5 yards per catch, and a touchdown. Cooper, man, he looked better. He looked better today than he did last week. I mean, I think Cooper was just abusing the DBs for the Green Bay Packers, but unfortunately, they were just off this much. The miscommunications, the Dak has a tendency to throw the ball a little bit behind his receivers, where they should be catching the ball right here, and they're kind of catching it right here. Led to a couple of interceptions. I've been seeing that since training camp, guys. I don't live far from Oxnard, so I usually go up a couple of times to Oxnard, and I seen the 2 interceptions in practice the day I went to Jeff Heath. Those were, again, off the hands of receivers because they were thrown just a little bit behind them. That's just something we're going to have to deal with Dak Prescott as the quarterback of the Dallas Cowboys, guys. But, look, guys, the Cowboys, they fall to 3-2. Not bad, but not good. 34-24. The Cowboys just couldn't get over the slow start. Yeah, I think some of it's coaching. I think a lot of it is just player execution because I think the game plan was good. Unlike the New Orleans Saints game plan, I think that was questionable. But it looked like the Cowboys were going to be able to do what they had to do, but they just weren't executing. Like I said, whether it was a throw being 2 feet, 3 feet off, or, it's a game of inches, man, and it all adds up, and the Cowboys just weren't in sync, weren't in tune, weren't finely tuned, I should say. They just weren't fine-tuned, and that's ultimately why they lost against a playoff caliber team. You can play that shit against the Washington Redskins, Jay Gruden. That team isn't put together. You can play that way against an Eli Manning-led Giant squad. And even Saquon tore up the Cowboys' run defense. We should have seen it then. And the Miami Dolphins have all but given up on their season. But when you got hungry teams, well-coached teams, like the New Orleans Saints, like the Green Bay Packers, so far, the Dallas Cowboys have shown us that they just can't hang with these NFC contenders. So the only way they're going to turn that around, Week 7, against the Philadelphia Eagles, got to turn it around. That's the game. We lose that game, I may lose a whole lot of hope. And I'm a longtime Cowboys fan. I hate saying that, but that game is huge. So, guys, the Cowboys lose the game to the Green Bay Packers, only scoring 24 points, Green Bay 34. I'm going to check out on you guys again. Sub it up. Check out the Red and Blue Rivalry podcast. I will have more for you. Also, I will be previewing the upcoming game against the New York Jets. I'll be giving my picks, for, what is it? We're going into week 6 now. So I'll give my picks. I'm going to look at the Jets game. I have the Jets game recorded. I'm going to watch the Jets game. Doesn't look like they were too much of a threat. Maybe Sam Darnold will be back after his bout with mononucleosis. But I'll get you guys covered on the Red and Blue Rivalry podcast. Check it out. Should be dropping on Wednesday this week. Sub it up, guys. Thanks for stopping by. I will see y'all later. So let's end this stream, guys. Hopefully the Cowboys bounce back. Peace out, everybody.